What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to feature 3 returns that I just recently got back. And I'm actually pretty excited to share these with you because this is kind of a rarity on my channel. I'm actually showing you autographs of players that played in this century, in the 2000s. So that's the cool thing about this. These are not some super retro old players. These are all players that I grew up watching play baseball. So I'm just going to jump right into this first one. And it is postmarked from Arizona, from former Pittsburgh Pirate / Arizona Diamondback / Cleveland Indian. Great Jay Bell on 404. And as you can see, I kind of covered a wide variety of his playing career here with the Indians, the Pirates, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, but he played for a couple other teams other than that as well. So let me tell you about Jay Bell and his career in baseball, which is just boggling that he's been in baseball all the time that he has. Jay Bell, a Florida native, was drafted out of a high school in Pensacola, Florida, in the first round by the Minnesota Twins in the 1984 draft, 8th overall. Bell only played a couple seasons in the Minnesota Twins organization after he was selected as their first round pick. When he was just 19 years old in 1985, the Minnesota Twins decided to trade him to the Cleveland Indians, which was the trade that brought Bert Blyleven to the Twins, who would eventually help lead the Twins to the World Series a couple years later. Well, after the trade to Cleveland, Bell started the year in 1986 in Double-A for the Indians and showed a pretty superb season, batting .277 with 7 home runs and 74 RBIs, that the Indians rewarded him with a call-up. And on September 29th, 1986, Jay Bell, at just 20 years old, made his major league debut with the Cleveland Indians. He would only appear in 5 games for the Indians in that 86 season, and in the following year in 87 would return to Triple-A for the majority of the season, but would get called back up, appearing in 38 games for the Indians that year. Well, in 1988, he would split time between Triple-A and the majors for the Indians, and he appeared in 73 games for the Indians in 1988, posting a .218 batting average. Well, after the 88 season, going into 1989, Bell was traded right before the end of spring training to the Pittsburgh Pirates to complete an earlier deal from 1988. Basically, it was Jay Bell being traded for a minor leaguer. Well, this is where he had a real big turning point in his career. The Pittsburgh Pirates, after acquiring him in that trade in 1989, he split the time in the Pirates Triple-A, still just 23 years old, but he would then get promoted to the Pirates and finish out the year with the Pirates, appearing in 78 games, with a strong outing of a .258 batting average. Well, going into 1990, basically shortstop was his for the Pirates, and he manned the position for the Pirates from 1990 to 1996 and appeared in his first All-Star game in 1993, where he batted a career-high .310 that year in his first All-Star game appearance. Well, after the 1996 season, the Pirates decided to trade him along with Jeff King to the Kansas City Royals for Jeff Martin, a minor leaguer, Jeff Granger, Joe Ronda, and Jeff Wallace. He would just play that one season with Kansas City, and then he was granted his free agency after the 97 season. And in 1998, the new expansion Arizona Diamondbacks brought Jay Bell's veteran leadership to the club, signing him as a free agent. He would play that first season in Arizona, and in 1999 he would have another All-Star season for the Diamondbacks, appearing in 151 games that year for them and batting .289. Bell would remain with the Diamondbacks through the 2002 season and would be part of the World Series champion Arizona Diamondbacks on the 2001 squad. In 2002, he only appeared in 32 games at 36 years old, for the Diamondbacks, and in 2003 he signed as a free agent, and at 37 years old he appeared in 72 games for the New York Mets to end his wonderful, illustrious 18-year playing career as a Major League Baseball player. Well, after his retirement from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Bell got into coaching. So he continued his coaching, he continued his love of baseball coaching at the Major League level. He spent some time with Arizona Diamondbacks on their coaching staff as a bench coach. He also was hired as a hitting coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates at one point in his career. He was also named the bench coach for the Reds at one point in his career. But most recently, over the last couple years, he's been coaching in the minor leagues. He's coached for the Yankees organization. He's coached for the Angels organization as of recent. A long, illustrious career, 18 years in the major leagues. Still to this day works in baseball as a coach. And he also works for the Baseball Assistance Program, which is BAT for short, if you've ever seen that term before. He also is on the board there as well, so very involved still to this day in baseball, and a very cool addition for a great player to add to your collection if you haven't written him before. Jay Bell has tons and tons of cards out there because of the era that he played, roughly from 1988 all the way to the early 2000s, so you can imagine how many cards that guy has. All right, so this next one is postmarked from Tampa, Florida, and this is actually the first time I've ever gotten him before, and this is former Chicago White Sox great on his minor league card, Wilson Alvarez, on one. Two, his 1991 Bowman rookie card, his 1992 score, I guess you would call that a second year card because it's not really a rookie even though it says prospect, and finally a 1992 Fleer record setters card, which he signed, and I'll tell you about that record here in a second. Wilson Alvarez actually signed as a free agent with the Texas Rangers, and he worked his way up through his system, and at just the age of 19, in 1989, he made his major league debut with the Texas Rangers. Just 5 short days after making his major league debut, he was traded along with Scott Fletcher and I don't know, this guy named Sammy Sosa to the Chicago White Sox for Harold Baines and Fred Manrique. As you know, Harold Baines became a Hall of Famer recently, but Sammy Sosa, as you know, went to the Chicago White Sox, then later went to the Chicago Cubs. He had the chase season for the home runs, etc., etc. So Wilson Alvarez was traded with Sammy Sosa in that deal to the White Sox. Well, the following year in 1990, he would spend the entire 1990 season in AA and AAA for the White Sox affiliate, going 12-8. Starting 22 games between the two stops. Well, in 1991, he would again start the year in AA, and he would post a 10-6 record with the White Sox, and he started 23 games. Well, in 1991, he would get called up to the majors, and he would appear in a game for the White Sox that year, and he would appear in just 9 or 10 games that year, starting 9 of them. At this time, he was a relatively unknown pitcher for the White Sox, considered a rookie at that time, even though he made his debut in 1989 for just that one game. And on August 11th of 1991, he threw a no-hitter against the Baltimore Orioles at Memorial Stadium. And this was only his second major league start. So his first start with the Texas Rangers, he got blown out of the park, to say it nicely. And then on his second start in his entire career, he pitched a no-hitter against the Baltimore Orioles. And, I guess there's no topping that with your second start. I mean, he never threw another no-hitter throughout the rest of his career, so I guess it was all downward from thereafter. But this Wilson Alvarez kind of came out of nowhere and threw this no-hitter on August 11th. Well, he obviously had his under control that game, but there were some struggles, after that in the 1992 season and 93 season. And in 1992, he was primarily used as a spot starter, kind of long reliever type in the bullpen. But he posted a 5-3 record, but his ERA was a little high because of his control issues. Well, in 1993, I don't know if he worked with a different pitching coach or if he, worked on his mechanics in the offseason. He came out of the gate in 1993 and posted a 15 wins and 8 loss record for the Chicago White Sox in 1993 with a 2.95 ERA. In 1994, in the strike-shortened season, he won 12 games, making his first All-Star game for his career. Actually, his only All-Star game for his career. And he probably would have won a few more games that year if it wasn't shortened, by the strike. Well, after the strike, unfortunately, in 1995, he lost a little bit of his form and it just went 8 wins and 11 losses that year. But he had a bounce-back season in 1996 where he matched his career total from a few years ago in 1993, winning 15 games and losing 10 for the White Sox in 1996. Well, in 1997, he would start the year at the White Sox again. At the time, he had a 9-8 record, but on July 31st, 1997, the White Sox packaged him along with veteran Danny Darwin to the San Francisco Giants for a whole slew of players. The most notable players that they got were Mike Caruso, Keith Falk, and Bobby Howery, who were longtime contributors to the White Sox. So after Alvarez was traded to the Giants, his career kind of went a little south. He finished the year in 1997 winning 13 games between the two, and then decided to sign as a free agent with the expansion team Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Well, as you can expect, in 1998, the Devil Rays struggled, and so did his record. He just posted 6 wins and had 14 losses in 25 starts for the D-Rays that year. In 1999, he would have a 500 record with 9 wins and 9 losses. Well, after the 1999 season, some injury problems kind of plagued Wilson, and in 2000-2001, he basically missed the entire season and did not have any starts in the majors with the exception of, a couple minor league starts. Well, in 2002, he had a couple rehab starts in the minors and was ready to go to come back to Tampa Bay, and he finished the year appearing in 23 games for the Devil Rays that year. Well, after the 2002 season, the Devil Rays decided to part ways with Wilson, and he signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And in 2003, the magic seemed to return. He wasn't a full-time starter, but he was a part-time starter, and he appeared in 21 games and posted a 6-2 record with a 2.37 ERA for the Dodgers, which was exceptional. Well, the following year in 2004, he would appear in 40 games, starting 15, and would finish the year with a 7-6 record. Well, the following year in 2005 with the Dodgers, his record slipped to 1 win and 4 losses, and his ERA was up to 5.6. And after the 2005 season, in October, Wilson Alvarez retired from the Los Angeles Dodgers and being a pitcher. Post-playing career, Wilson's been involved as a pitching coach. He's worked with the Baltimore Orioles organization as a most recent. I'm not sure if he's still with the Orioles organization because I know they cleaned a lot of house in the last couple of years when it came to their minor league instructors. So I don't know if Wilson's still around. But his story is so phenomenal that I think it was something that I really wanted to share on this channel. Can you imagine being called up to the majors for not your first start, but your second start of your career and pitching a no-hitter? That's what Wilson Alvarez did. I mean, it's such a unique story. So I'm going to move on to the next one because this next one I'm pretty excited to share with you too because he was a great player as well. So we'll move on to that. All right, so this next one's postmarked from Atlanta Metro, so Georgia, and it is former Chicago White Sox center fielder Mike Cameron making an awesome catch up in the air there. Also on a Donruss studio right there. And here is a nice heritage or Fleer tradition, excuse me, of him as a Cincinnati Red. And here is a crackerjack card of him as a New York Met. And one of the things I want to say about Mike Cameron before I jump into this, I actually had the unique opportunity when he was traded from the Red, or before he was traded from the Reds to Seattle. We'll talk about that in a second. That I actually got his autograph in person outside of the stadium in St. Louis. He came walking out, I recognized him, and he signed a couple cards for me. So I still have those cards in my collection. 2 autographs that I got from Mike Cameron when I was just out of high school, maybe my freshman year in college, and still have those in my collection to this day. So very happy to add a couple more from some of his other stops, I guess you would say, in the major leagues. So let me tell you about Mike Cameron and his exceptional long career in Major League Baseball. So Mike Cameron, a native of Georgia, was drafted in the 18th round out of LaGrange High School in LaGrange, Georgia in 1991. The 18-year-old went to rookie ball in 1981 and moved up through the White Sox organization all the way up to 1995, where in 1995 he was rewarded with a call-up to the major leagues on August 27th, 1995, where he would remain for the remainder of the season 5 with the big club. He would appear in 28 games that year for the White Sox, but the following year in 1996, he would primarily spend the entire season in Double-A for the White Sox, appearing in 123 games for their Double-A affiliate and just 11 at the major league level. Well, in 1997, he would get promoted to Triple-A, but he would appear in just 30 games before the White Sox would call him up to the majors, where he would take over the center field position for the White Sox, finishing out the year with 116 games in the majors. In 1998, he would appear in 141 games for the White Sox, manning center field. And after the 1998 season, he would be traded to the Cincinnati Reds for slugger Paul Konerko. And as many of you know, Paul Konerko was a major factor on the Chicago White Sox when they won their World Series. Well, Cameron would only play 1 season with Cincinnati, where he would appear in 146 games for them, batting .256 and manning center field. Well, after the 1999 season, probably the biggest historical trade in the history of the Seattle Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr. was sent to Cincinnati, and Mike Cameron, along with Brett Tomko, Antonio Perez, and minor leaguer Jake Meyer, were sent to Seattle. So Mike literally had huge shoes to fill with Ken Griffey Jr. when he got to Seattle. Well, Mike did the best with his situation in Seattle, and his first year there he played in 155 games, batted .267, and hit 19 home runs that year's first year in Seattle. Well, the following year, Mike would make his first and only All-Star game, where he appeared in 150 games, batting .267 and hitting 25 home runs for the Mariners that year. He would finish out the 2002 and 2003 season with the Mariners, and then after 2003, Mike would sign with the New York Mets as a free agent. He would spend only a couple seasons playing for the Mets before he was shipped off to the San Diego Padres in a trade in the offseason in 2005 for prospect Xavier Nady. He would finish out the remainder of that contract with San Diego, and then again would become a free agent and would sign with the Milwaukee Brewers in the 2008 season. He would spend two years in Milwaukee, and after the 2009 season would go to the East Coast and play as a backup part-time role for the Boston Red Sox. He would then spend 2011 starting out with the Red Sox, but would then eventually be sold to the Florida Marlins, which they would eventually let him go at the end of the 2011 season. He decided to come back to try out with the Washington Nationals, but decided after going to spring training in 2012 that he was going to retire as a player. So in total, Mike Cameron played 17 years in the major leagues. Now I know, towards the beginning of his career and towards the end of his career, obviously those, he was only playing backup roles. He only played, 5 games, whatever. But this guy can say that he spent 17 years in the major leagues. He won 3 Gold Glove awards, and as I said on this card, you can kind of see that right there, that he was quite the exceptional fielder and a great athlete. The one other thing that I do want to mention, ironically, one of the teams that he did not play for, actually 2 of the teams he did not play for, the Houston Astros and the Detroit Tigers, his son is Daz Cameron, who is currently playing for the Detroit Tigers. So even though Mike was considered, I guess you would say, a journeyman, he really was only with a team, for short periods of times, with the exception of the White Sox and the Mariners. He did not play for the teams that his son played for. So very cool to add Mike Cameron's cards again to my collection. Like I said, I got a couple in my collection that he signed in person for me. Very happy to add those to the collection. Another great Chicago White Sox. I guess I probably should have did a White Sox themed video here, but I didn't think of that. When Wilson Alvarez, one of those guys that just kind of came on the scene out of nowhere. And also Jay Bell, who, played 18 years in the majors and still to this day is involved as a coach. So thanks for watching another episode, and remember the great sports through the mail Thursdays. I look forward to your comments below.